Wow, you're wearing that color underneath. With a forceful tug, she yanked open my collar, revealing the pink bra strap. The lecture hall, filled with over 200 people, fell silent for a few seconds before erupting into laughter, whistles, and the sound of camera shutters. I froze, my ears ringing as if I had been transported back to the gallows of my previous life. The male teacher on the podium darkened his face and slammed the table. What's all this noise? She, however, pursed her lips and smiled, straightening my collar while patting my shoulder. Don't be angry, we're all girls, just having a bit of fun. The laughter grew even louder, and someone shouted, Bro, you're wearing pink today. My fingers clenched the collar tightly, my back feeling as if someone had poured a bucket of ice water over me, all the humiliation wrapping around me like cement. In my previous life, I was left speechless by the phrase, we're both girls. Everyone thought I was making a big deal out of nothing, saying, is it really that serious? And she continued to unbutton my clothes and pull at my skirt when I least expected it, even going so far as to unzip my skirt right before my graduate school interview. She said, you don't deserve it. Then, with a smile, she added, you're so conservative, no guy would ever like you. Really, I was disqualified for improper conduct. Later, I jumped into the river, and now I watch her malicious hands fall upon me as if hitting rewind. I suddenly grab her wrist, the bones cracking with a snap. She cried out in pain. Ouch, what are you doing? I sneered. You're right, we're both girls, then why don't you take yours off and show everyone? Her face froze, and the surrounding laughter gradually died down. She broke free from my hand and took a step back. Are you crazy? I was just joking. You said it was just a joke earlier, I spoke calmly. So now I'm joking with you. What's the problem? I moved closer to her step by step, my gaze icy. How about you pull your own clothes down a bit too? Fair's fair. Her face turned pale, and she quickly stepped back, bumping into the lectern. I apologize. Okay. Her eyes began to redden. It was just a joke. It's not the first time I've teased you like this. Why are you taking it so seriously today? Slap. I slapped her across the face, and the entire classroom fell so silent that only the sound of breathing remained. She covered her cheek, her eyes filled with disbelief. How dare you hit me? I stared at her coldly, lowering my voice. This is the last time you touch me. Try it again, and see what happens. I scanned the room and raised my voice to everyone. She just pulled at my clothes in public. That's sexual harassment. I recorded it, and I'll be taking it to the student affairs office later. She looked at me in shock. You recorded it. You actually recorded me. Yes, I nodded calmly, holding up my phone. The red light was blinking. The entire scene had been captured. Low murmurs of discussion came from the corner of the classroom. That really is quite excessive. What kind of girl goes around pulling off other people's clothes? And it's not even the first time. I straightened my clothes, picked up my backpack, and calmly walked out of the classroom. Behind me, she urgently called out, Feng Qing. Don't do anything reckless. I was just joking around. I didn't even look back. In this lifetime, I won't play along with you anymore. When I returned to the dormitory that night, her smiling face was still lingering in my mind. Don't be angry. What's wrong with us girls being a little intimate? I sat on the bed, my hand still tightly gripping the collar of my shirt, even though I knew my clothes were already properly arranged. I couldn't bring myself to let go. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was a group message from my roommate, Lina. Today's iconic moment. Haha, video the whole process of her pulling Feng Qing's clothes. MP4. My hand trembled, and the video started playing automatically, from the side and rear angle. The entire scene was clearly captured, her pulling my collar from behind, me stiffly covering my chest, and the whole class bursting into laughter. The group chat instantly became lively. I'm dying of laughter, haha, her bewildered expression is absolutely hilarious, haha, still wearing pink in college. Someone tagged me, don't take it to heart. Beauty, we really think you're quite cute. I watched the bullet comments scrolling by one after another, my nails digging into my palms. Seeing that I hadn't replied, Lina sent a voice message. Oh, Feng Qing, you're taking this too seriously. No one really meant any harm. She was just messing around. Didn't you say you were mature and didn't care about these things? I couldn't utter a single word. After that video was forwarded to the class group chat, it was then posted on the school's confession wall. A few minutes later, some unknown Big V account pinned a hot comment. Hashtag she says harassment between girls doesn't count as sexual harassment. Hashtag pink underwear girl classroom breakdown incident. Hashtag. I became a familiar face across the entire school. And the video was even edited with various strange voiceovers and filters, turning it into a meme. The comments were all, who's to blame for dressing provocatively? Does she really think she's a pure lotus? She just wants to be famous, right? She probably dressed like that on purpose. Disgusting. Stop fishing for sympathy. I sent a private message to the other account asking them to delete the video, and they replied with 2 words. LOL. I went to my counselor, who first said, Are you sure she did it on purpose? Maybe you're being too sensitive. Just as I was about to argue, she frowned at me and said, the way you dressed for class today really wasn't appropriate. I suggest you delete those comments you clapped back at on social media. You're making a big deal out of this now, and it won't do you any good. I fought back the urge to tear up and asked, what about the video? Should she delete it? She thought for a moment and said, I'll talk to her. But don't get worked up, she's a girl too, so she probably didn't mean any harm. That's how it all started in my previous life. Everyone kept telling me, don't be so sensitive, she just doesn't know her boundaries. You're both girls, after all. But she never pulled Lena's clothes, nor did she ever pull Xiaoyu's. She only pulled mine, because I'm quiet, easy to bully, get good grades, never argue, never fight back. The easiest to bully, but this time, I won't stay silent anymore. I opened my phone, saved that video, and exported screenshots of the chat history. I slowly realized she never lacked a sense of boundaries at all. She's testing my limits. Today is the first test. Next time, she'll destroy me with a smile. Is that the same outfit you wore yesterday? The counselor frowned, glanced at me, then looked down to type on her notebook. Yes, I replied softly. I had already washed that white shirt, but the look in her eyes made it seem as though I had worn it on purpose to provoke someone. Do you know how widely the video has spread? She said. Several teachers in the department have seen it and said it reflects poorly. I pressed my lips together and did not respond, and you should also consider the context. It was an open class that day. And when the teacher called on you to speak, you became emotionally agitated and resorted to physical violence. Do you think that kind of behavior is appropriate? I was taken aback and looked up, saying, I wasn't resorting to violence. I was just, you were acting on impulse. She interrupted me, her tone firm and resolute. No matter what the other person did, hitting someone in public is wrong. I tried to calm myself down. What about her pulling my clothes in front of everyone? The whole class was there. And it wasn't the first time she'd done this. She always says it's just a joke, but if I were a guy doing something like this, would the school still call it just a joke? Her brow twitched slightly, as if I had hit a nerve, but she quickly regained her composure. Of course, we don't support any form of physical harassment. It's just, she didn't mean any harm. Whether she has ill intentions is not for her to decide, I said in a low voice. It's for me to decide. She fell silent for a few seconds before calmly replying, the school is looking into the situation, but regarding this matter, I suggest you avoid escalating the conflict. You know, once something like this blows up, it won't do you any good either. I understood what she meant. It was exactly the same as in my previous life. Don't make things even harder to handle. Minor conflicts between girls don't need to escalate to the point of disciplinary action. You should be more tolerant. Don't let a small misunderstanding jeopardize your future. Every word was like a knife. She stood by the office window, flipping through the incident handling record form. Only the cause of incident column was filled in. Student Feng Qing's improper attire caused disruption to classroom order. I couldn't help but laugh. She tugged at my clothes, and the video spread all over the internet, with captions saying I was dressed inappropriately. So the teacher means the fault lies in me wearing this outfit. She glanced up at me, not directly responding, but said gently, you're an outstanding student, and we all have high hopes for you. It's your junior year now, and the evaluation for graduate school recommendations is about to begin. Don't let a moment of emotional impulse leave a stain on your record. I finally understand, this isn't a misunderstanding, but rather intentional neglect. She's not incapable of distinguishing right from wrong, she just doesn't want to deal with troublesome people. I walked out of the office. The sunlight was just right, yet I felt a chill down my back. On the campus path, some people stole glances at me, while others whispered among themselves. I lowered my head, opened my phone, and clicked on that video. The barrage of comments below had been automatically collapsed by the system, and the number of comments had skyrocketed to over 800. The most upvoted comment was, if you dressed more appropriately, no one would bother you. I stared at those words, my fingertips turning cold. At that moment, I realized, not all sexual harassment can be acknowledged, especially when you are a girl, and the perpetrator is also a girl. The next morning, as soon as I walked into the classroom, I sensed something was off. Many people glanced at me, whispered something, and then quickly looked away. She sat in the third row, her eyes red, looking as if she hadn't slept all night. The desk was piled with tissues, and the notebook beside her was open, with the first page reading, to Feng Qing, I'm sorry. I intended to ignore her and walk past to the last row, but she suddenly grabbed the hem of my clothes, her voice trembling. Feng Qing, I really didn't mean to. I shook off her hand without saying a word. Her eyes immediately welled up with tears. I really didn't know you'd mind so much. I thought we were good friends. People around us had already started whispering. She apologized. She looked so pitiful. Do you think maybe her classmate was dressed too provocatively in that video? I gritted my teeth and sat down in the back row, but my phone vibrated at that moment. The class group chat was flooded with messages. Xiaoyan really isn't a bad person. She's always been kind to everyone. She cried all night yesterday and hasn't even dared to eat today. Don't you think Fangqing might have overreacted a bit? I clicked in and saw a screenshot of her roommate's social media post. Some people may seem aloof on the surface, but in reality, their temper is worse than anyone's. Are we country girls just meant to be humiliated? Say a few words and you have to record and report us. Below the picture, there was a photo of her crying with tears streaming down her face, and another of her holding a stack of drafts labeled apology letter. A single stone stirred up 1,000 waves. Someone commented below, "Is a joke between girls really that serious?" Others said, "People nowadays are really untouchable. They report over the smallest things, making us all speak cautiously." Someone else reposted the confession wall post with the hashtag city girls are too fragile hashtag. Looking at the comment, just saying a few words and they're already recording and reporting. My fingers couldn't stop trembling. She was acting. She was more skilled at it than anyone. This isn't the first time she's pulled at my clothes. She's just testing whether public opinion will forgive her one more time, and yet, some people actually believe her. In my past life, she cried like this too, saying she was just too eager to get close to me. Teachers, classmates, even my own mother said, "She's already apologized. Why can't you forgive her? Forgive." The next time, she could openly push me down the stairs and tell others. She wasn't careful herself. I took a deep breath and saved the screenshot of the friend circle, the video she liked last night, and that group chat record. "Aren't you good at crying? Then I'll make you cry for the whole school to see." At lunchtime, as soon as I walked into the cafeteria, a familiar voice came from behind. "Hey, Fangqing." It was Xiaoyu, the most timid person in the dorm. She gave me a cautious smile and said, Xiaoyan is really feeling quite regretful." I glanced at her indifferently and didn't say a word. She followed me, lowering her voice. "She cried all night last night, didn't eat anything, and even fainted in the bathroom this morning. Do you want to go check on her?" I stopped in my tracks, turned to look at her, and asked, before she fainted, "Did she delete the video she reposted?" Xiaoyu was taken aback for a moment and didn't answer. "Did she clarify the post she shared on her social media?" I asked. Xiaoyu began to stammer. She said she didn't expect it to spread so quickly. I nodded and continued walking forward. Halfway there, Lina also came over. "Fangqing, I know you're angry, but after all, we are roommates, and continuing like this isn't a solution." I looked at her. When she was making a scene, did she ever ask if I could accept it? She said it was just a joke. Lina frowned. "You hit her on the spot then. Wasn't that enough to vent your anger? Now you still want to force her to drop out." "Who's forcing whom?" I retorted. She remained silent. At a nearby table, someone was staring at me and whispering, "That's her, the one with the clothes-pulling incident." I heard she insisted on reporting it as sexual harassment, causing such a headache for the school. "She's a girl too. Is it really that serious?" Maybe she just wanted to stir up attention. I took out my meal card and turned to leave. My appetite was completely gone. I don't know why, but the world always seems to be harsher on those who show their pain. She cries, she lies down, she feigns weakness, and she gets sympathy for having already been punished. But I just stand there without saying a word, and everyone thinks I'm unrelenting. In my previous life, I let her off just like that. As a result, during my final interview, she unzipped my skirt and said to all the judges, "She usually likes to wear these seductive clothes." At that moment, I was ruined, and she turned around and said, "It wasn't intentional." Now she's pretending it was unintentional again, but this time, I was already prepared to make sure she wouldn't have the chance to claim it was unintentional. I opened my phone and organized all the voice calls, chat records, and screenshots of social media posts where people advised me to let it go, backing them up systematically. Then I casually opened the recording. The conversation from that day when the counselor said my attire was inappropriate was still there. The next day, the disciplinary notice was posted on the left side of the department's bulletin board, with my familiar name printed at the very bottom line, "Misconduct, 1 warning." I stood before the notice, looking at my own name and the phrase "severely disrupted classroom order," feeling somewhat amused. The classroom where she publicly tugged at my clothes, causing the whole room to burst into laughter, had now become the place where I disrupted order. I got disciplined. She was fine. I was called in for a talk, while she continued attending classes, still sitting in the front row, wearing a clean, neat white sweater, head bowed as she took notes, looking every bit the model student. "Hey, this whole thing is over. She already apologized. So why is it still resulting in disciplinary action? What do you think?" She recorded the counselor and posted it online, putting the school in a tough spot, but in the end, she's the one who got punished. Serves her right, who told her to react so strongly. She's not exactly innocent herself, filming videos, hitting people, forwarding them in group chats. Why isn't she being punished? I listened to the voices of people chatting outside from inside the toilet stall. My face pressed against the cold partition, a part of my heart had already gone numb. I couldn't even remember exactly which step I had taken wrong. Was it when I fought back with that slap? Was it the moment I turned on the recording? Or was it when I didn't choose to let it go? When I returned to the dorm, Lina and Xiaoyu were both there. They sat on the opposite bunk, quietly watching me set down my backpack. Has the punishment been decided yet? Lina finally spoke up. I nodded. Then you still want to keep reporting her? Xiaoyu asked. Of course. I replied without hesitation. You've already been disciplined, isn't that enough? She couldn't hold back, she wasn't even given a demerit, and you nearly drove her to depression. She's depressed, I sneered. Then would it be fair if I jumped off a building? Both of them fell silent. Fengqing, you've changed, Lina said softly. You weren't like this before. What was I like before? I stared at her. Back then, I didn't dare make a sound even when my pants were pulled down. And the whole school made a joke out of me, and I still ate and chatted with you all. You liked my old self who never had a temper, and now you say I've changed just because I said one thing. They all fell silent. I knew they wouldn't take my side. They had already chosen sides. The lukewarm lake water rushed into my nostrils and throat, the suffocating sensation cutting into my brain like a knife, in the blankness of near death. I saw the light in the counselor's office. She said my attire was inappropriate and disruptive. I saw my classmates in the classroom holding up their phones and laughing. Some said I was seeking attention, others said I deserved it. I saw her covering her mouth and laughing. We're all girls. How can this be considered sexual harassment? The final scene was of myself on the disciplinary document, white background, black text, like an epitaph on paper. Then I opened my eyes. In front of me was the projection screen in the lecture hall, and from the podium came the familiar voice of the teacher. Now, calling attendance. Fengqing. I was startled, sitting up abruptly, my chest heaving violently, cold sweat beating on my forehead. Everyone around was staring at me. I looked down at my clothes. It was the white shirt I hadn't had time to change out of. The pink strap of my undergarment clearly peeking out from beneath the collar. Instinctively, I reached to pull at the collar. That hand was slowly reaching out from behind me. Fengqing, her voice drew out the syllables, then gave a light, quick tug at my back. Snap! I stood up and, with all my strength, slapped her backhanded. The entire lecture hall fell silent for 5 seconds. She covered her face, looking at me in horror. What are you doing? I said calmly. Pulling someone's clothes is sexual harassment. She froze, her lips trembling. Why are you reacting so strongly? I'm not a man. I raised my phone. It's recorded. The red recording dot blinked on and off. I had even captured the entire process of her reaching out. Are you crazy? Her voice rose sharply. Who records classes? You're insane. I looked at her, my voice dropping even lower. Didn't you say we're both girls, so it doesn't count as harassment? Then take off your clothes, and we'll all have a look. Her face fell on the spot, and the smiles of the few classmates around us froze. I stopped looking at her, straightened my clothes, calmly sat down, placed my phone back on the table, and aimed the camera at her. Go on, I said. Her tears, held back for a long time, finally didn't fall. She clearly didn't expect me to fight back directly. I never expected that I would publicly display the recording interface. She was restless the entire class, frequently turning back to look at me, the panic in her eyes more genuine than the grievance. As soon as the class ended, she rushed up to grab my arm. Fengqing, can you delete what you recorded? I stepped back and sneered. What are you afraid of? Isn't it just playing around? You're crazy, she whispered. You're just messing with me. Didn't you laugh that day too? I retorted. She froze. I laughed because I was so flustered I didn't know what to do. You're laughing because you think you've successfully humiliated me. She was about to say something more, but I raised my phone and said coldly, take one more step toward me, and I'll start a live stream right now. She took 2 steps back in fright, her expression as if she had swallowed a fly. A crowd had already gathered at the classroom door. Someone took out their phone and started filming. Others whispered in low voices. Are they really filming this? Can a girl even report another girl for something like this? Of course you can. I turned my head and answered the person directly. Look up the civil code. Sexual harassment doesn't discriminate by gender, and it's not excused as a joke or testing the waters. Just because it's a girl doesn't mean you can touch someone without permission, and saying don't be so sensitive doesn't let you off the hook. The person choked, her face turned deathly pale. her lips trembling. "You just want to ruin me." I laughed. "I ruin you? Are you saying I've been merciful enough by not letting you die?" She wanted to retort, but couldn't utter a single word. I slowly put down my phone and turned to leave. She didn't chase after me. I knew she wouldn't dare to act this time. I didn't wait for her to delete the video. That night, I posted it myself. In the video, she reached out to pull my clothes. I slapped her backhand and held up my phone to show the screen recording. Every second was captured clearly. My caption had only one sentence: "I'm a girl. If another girl pulls open my collar, does that count as sexual harassment?" I didn't bring up any topics, didn't tag anything, and didn't even open the comments section, yet it still went viral. Several campus bloggers with large followings reposted the video on Weibo, Bilibili, and Zaya Hongshu. The hot comments exploded almost overnight. If this doesn't count as harassment, then can girls slap each other in the face and call it just playing around? Sexual harassment doesn't discriminate by gender, especially in educational settings. Who gave her the nerve? Her comment, "We play like this in the countryside," really disgusted me. Just because she's not a man, does that mean she can do whatever she wants? Her photos were dug up, along with the apology letter she had previously reposted on her social media feed. Netizens were even faster than me, following the trail to find her comments in other girls' comment sections. "She has such a great figure. Showing a little skin won't kill her. In our rural area, lifting skirts isn't a big deal. City folks are just fragile. What's wrong with girls kissing and hugging each other?" A few screenshots were pieced together, and netizens immediately hammered her in the comments section. Typical perpetrator plus victim statement plus objectifying others. How many people have been ruined by the phrase "it's fine between girls"? The next morning, hashtag she said sexual harassment doesn't count between girls hashtag trended at number 17 on Weibo's hot search. Before noon, I received a call from my academic advisor. "Did you post the video?" Her tone was unusually serious. "Yes," I said. "Do you know this incident has already affected the school's image? The school administration is demanding that we handle it as soon as possible." "Handle what?" I asked calmly. "Handle me posting the video, or handle her pulling my clothes?" There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds, then her tone softened. "This has gotten too big, and it's not good for you either. Right now, many people online are criticizing her, and many are attacking the school, saying we have double standards. We need to clarify things as soon as possible." "Then go ahead and clarify it," I said with a smile. "Just say that the school didn't deal with the perpetrator but instead punished the victim. That would make it perfectly clear." "Fengqing," she raised her voice, "being so aggressive like this won't do anyone any good." I sneered. "It's certainly not good for her, and it's not good for the school either, but for me, it's great." She hung up the phone. That afternoon, the school's official Weibo account posted a statement. "An investigation into the matter is currently underway. The school places great importance on conflicts among students and calls for the rational expression of emotions to avoid further escalation." The comments below exploded. "What do you mean by conflicts? This is a crime. Don't twist the facts." "Until she faces disciplinary action, who gave you the right to call for rationality? It's not that you don't understand sexual harassment. You just think it can be ignored when it's between girls." And just as the comments were heating up, I received an anonymous email. There is only one line: "Thank you. I've also had my clothes pulled by her." Then, 1 letter, 2 letters, 5 letters, from different majors, different schools, and even from neighboring campuses. The next afternoon, as soon as I stepped out of the library, I was stopped at the door by my academic advisor. "You delete the video," she whispered. I didn't stop walking. "No. Do you still want to keep your graduate recommendation?" Her voice was extremely low, but her gaze was sharp. I stopped and stared at her. "It's not me who doesn't want the recommendation, it's you." Her expression changed. "What do you mean?" I handed her my phone and played the recording. "If a boy did this to a girl, how would the school handle it? You should be more understanding. Don't ruin your future over a small misunderstanding. She's a girl. So there's no issue of sexual harassment." These words were spoken by her own mouth. "Are you recording me?" Her voice suddenly rose sharply. "This is an infringement. You made those statements in a public setting, so there's no basis for privacy rights." I replied calmly. "Besides, the recording isn't even the most damaging part." I clicked open another folder. Inside were video recording files. Screenshot of the disciplinary notice. Her previous response to other female students' comments using "this is how we play in the countryside," anonymous emails and written testimonies from multiple female students, the collected Article 1010 of the Civil Code, Article 37 of the Regulations on the Administration of Students in Higher Education Institutions. I even prepared a complaint letter, a report letter, screenshots of the real name reporting process, and a draft email to the Education Department's petition office. She glanced at it, and her face instantly turned pale. "If you handle it, I won't post it," I said. "If you try to cover it up again, I'll make sure this matter reaches the petition portals of all major media outlets." She opened her mouth but couldn't speak. At that moment, I received a private message invitation from the school radio station. "Hello, we are student reporters from the S University broadcasting station. We would like to conduct a themed interview on the hashtag controversy over sexual harassment among female students hashtag. Would you be willing to participate? We can guarantee that the audio editing rights belong to your side." I replied with 2 words, "Sure." Seeing me put away my phone, her expression grew more complicated than ever before. "Fengqing, you've won this time. But do you really think this is a victory worth celebrating so publicly?" I stared at her, my voice calm. "This isn't a celebration. It's a reckoning. It's about seeking justice for myself, and for all those who didn't dare to speak up." She didn't speak again. Back at the dorm, I reorganized and archived all the materials, then uploaded them to the email scheduled sending system. If my phone was confiscated, my account was blocked, or someone threatened me to delete everything, this email would automatically be sent in 24 hours. That night, the radio station aired my interview. I did not show my face, only using a voice changer to narrate the entire incident from start to finish. The interview title was, "When Gender Becomes a Disclaimer, a Victimized Girl's Real Name Accusation." In just 2 hours, the comment section exceeded 10,000, not a single curse word, not a single accusation, just stating the facts. Yet it's even more shocking. I used to think that girls bullying girls isn't a big deal, but now I realize I might have been an accomplice back then. She's right. It's not just boys who can sexually harass, girls can too, and they're more likely to get away with it. I sat on my dorm bed, watching the comments scroll by rapidly, when a private message notification popped up on my phone. "I'm also a girl from S University. During freshman military training, she lifted up my tank top, and I never dared to speak up. Thank you. What she did to you, she also did to me in my first year of high school. She even tore my performance costume for the arts festival and later said it was poor quality clothing. I found the surveillance screenshot from that time. If it can help you, please contact me." These private messages came pouring in like a breached dam, one after another. She wasn't an isolated case, she was a repeat offender, and these voices had previously been silenced, suppressed, and covered up. It wasn't that no one was harmed. It was that no one dared to speak out, until now. I contacted several female students and compiled their experiences. I posted them on the campus Student Rights Appeal platform along with evidence. The next day, the Student Rights Center website was overwhelmed by campus traffic. Even off-campus forums began buzzing with hot discussions. Campus version of Me Too. Multiple female students at S University report long-term humiliating jokes harassment by a female classmate. The person involved in the incident once received scholarships and was an outstanding student leader, now accused of being a bra yanker. Her photo was posted publicly, and her previous statement, "That's just how we do things in the countryside," became the greatest irony. But the most fatal blow wasn't any of that, it was the recording of her own words. "I just can't stand her, that holier-than-thou attitude of hers. Dressing like that, isn't she just asking to be exposed?" I just wanted to see her reaction. If she really didn't like it, she would have resisted long ago. Isn't it just that she enjoys the attention from everyone? While she was bragging about it in the dorm with another girl, her roommate secretly recorded the conversation. When that roommate messaged me privately, there was only one sentence: "She always laughs so gleefully when she pulls on others' clothes, but she never asks if they're afraid." I edited this audio clip into a video. The beginning shows me holding up my phone in the lecture hall that day. The ending is the recording of her words. Within 24 hours, this video surpassed 3 million views. The top comment read, "She finally admitted it wasn't her first time." The day the decision to revoke the punishment was posted, the sunlight was brilliant. The school office issued an official document, not only withdrawing my warning for misconduct, but also including the review panel's conclusion, after investigation. It has been confirmed that the student in question did not violate any disciplinary rules in this incident. The relevant responsible parties were found to have clear subjective faults and have been dealt with separately, and the relevant responsible party, her, was publicly criticized, disqualified from all awards and honors, ordered to issue a public apology, and given a formal reprimand. Her apology was posted in the most prominent position on the school's homepage, right below the official announcements. It wasn't one of those pseudo-apologies like "I just expressed myself inappropriately." Instead, it was a line-by-line admission: "I have repeatedly subjected Fengqing to physical harassment under the guise of joking. I realize that, regardless of gender, this behavior essentially constitutes harassment and violation. I am willing to bear all the consequences for this." This apology letter was like a nail driven into the mouths of everyone who had ever said I was too sensitive. Those who had advised me to let it go before are now trying to add me back as a friend. Those who called me fragile and emotionally unstable sent private messages saying, "Actually, I always thought you were right." I didn't reply to any of them. I know they didn't have a sudden awakening. They just saw which way the wind was blowing, and this time, I no longer have to be the understanding victim. I was invited to the college assembly, not to reflect on my mistakes, but to speak. A representative of the school administration said on stage, "We should reflect on the fact that the system should not differentiate based on the gender of the perpetrator, nor should it use good relations to cover up boundary violations." She was sitting in the audience. She kept her head down, no longer the innocent misunderstood party. I stood at the podium, holding my speech notes, but I didn't open them. I am Fengqing. I raised my head. I was once watched by the whole school, punished, and doubted because of a joke, but now I stand here because I recorded the conversation, because I am no longer silent, and because people have started to believe that girls can also hurt girls. I don't want to be a role model. I just want to be the one who is no longer sacrificed. Applause rose. Not loud or dense, but sincere enough. Stepping out of the auditorium, Zhao Yu stood at the end of the corridor. "Fengqing," she murmured, "I'm sorry. I really didn't know back then. Now I know," I said. "So don't ever wipe someone's blood and say she meant no harm again." She nodded, her eyes reddening. I didn't say anything more. I had won this battle, and I didn't need to forgive anyone. I walked down the steps, the sunlight falling on my face like washing away an old layer of skin. She is still at school. Disciplinary action does not mean expulsion, but she is no longer the poor, impoverished student or the misunderstood roommate. She is someone deemed a perpetrator by the system, and I am the victim who is no longer sacrificed by the system. This time, I live openly and honestly. Before the new semester began, I received an invitation to join a group chat from my new roommate. The one who added me to the group was a girl I met in an elective class last semester, enthusiastic, straightforward, and without any filters. The group chat is named "No Joking or Harassing in the Dormitory." I laughed and clicked accept. She was the one who left the group, not kicked out, nor did she offer any explanation. She just quietly left, like a passing breeze. I heard she applied to change her major and moved into another dormitory. No one ever mentioned her well-intentioned jokes, popularity, or just being a bit blunt again. She was no longer the main character in this storm. She became that one, and I, from the emotionally sensitive and always overreacting Fengqing, became the one who insisted on speaking out and was hurt in a public incident. Zhao Yu sent a message saying that the new semester's counselor used me as a boundary education case. "You're a celebrity among the freshmen now," she teased. "Even my brother knows about that sister who dared to report." I replied with a crying laughing emoji and didn't say anything more. There's no need to say anything more about this kind of thing. I changed to a new tablecloth, featuring a map of the ocean. I gave it a file name, "To Be Continued," not to commemorate the past, but to remind myself, the moment I walked out, I wasn't finally safe, but beginning to be free. She was left in the past, and I will only move forward. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After being bound by my roommate's word spirit system, my roommate joked, "You're so beautiful. I'm so ugly. How about you give me your beauty?" After being complimented, I felt a bit happy. "All right then, I'll give you my beauty." My roommate continued, "Your boyfriend is so handsome. It'd be great if he became mine." I smiled faintly. "If you like it, take it." My roommate persisted relentlessly. "Your family is so wealthy. It would be perfect if I could become a rich young lady like you." I found it odd but still nodded politely. "All right then, I'll give you my identity as a rich young lady too." Little did I know, 3 months later, everything I had said came true. I became short and fat, while my roommate turned incredibly beautiful. My boyfriend also left me and fell into my roommate's arms. Finally, my family went bankrupt. My parents died in a car accident, and my roommate transformed into a wealthy woman, living in a mansion and driving luxury cars. In despair, I sensed something was wrong and confronted my roommate. She sneered mockingly, "Fool, daring to agree to anything. Have you ever heard of words becoming reality? What you promised me must come true." Upon learning the truth, I was driven to madness with rage, grabbing a knife to end both our lives, only to be overpowered by her and her boyfriend, then locked in the basement to starve to death. I was so angry I was reborn. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment my roommate asked for my beauty. This time, I can give away my boyfriend, my wounds, even my weight, but you'll never lay a finger on my beauty or wealth. Right now, my roommate Sarah's slightly tanned face wore a simple, unadorned smile. "Lisa, don't stand on ceremony with me. I'm from the countryside. I've been doing manual work since I was little. You look like a pampered young lady from a wealthy family, from now on. Leave all the heavy and dirty work to me." With that, she ignored me and started making my bed. Watching her back, I felt a deep, seething hatred. In my previous life, it was just like this, touched by her sincerity and finding it hard to decline her kindness. I didn't want to let her enthusiasm go to waste, so I agreed to let her help me make the bed. At the same time, I developed a strong liking for her. However, after she finished helping me, she asked me 2 questions in a row. She said she wanted my beauty, my status as a wealthy heiress. I thought Sarah was joking, so I casually told her she could have it all. Little did I know, every word I said to her would come true. From that day on, my tall, fair-skinned, and beautiful self began to grow fatter and darker with each passing day. I was utterly panicked and rushed to the hospital, but no cause could be found, yet Sarah grew more beautiful day by day. I even saw a shadow of my former self in her face, because I became ugly. My childhood sweetheart boyfriend began to despise me. By chance, I saw Sarah and immediately started showering her with attention. I couldn't take it anymore and told my boyfriend to go ahead and give himself to Sarah. Soon enough, they became an inseparable pair, a handsome guy and a beautiful girl. They looked like a match made in heaven, and I became a complete clown. I grew increasingly insecure, muddling through without understanding what was happening. Soon, the family business ran into trouble and went bankrupt at lightning speed. To make matters worse, my parents were killed in a car accident. Overwhelmed with agony, I recalled how Sarah had asked for my beauty, identity, and boyfriend. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious it seemed. I confronted Sarah and asked if she was behind this. By then, Sarah was already driving luxury cars and living in a villa. With a smug expression, she nodded in admission and mocked me mercilessly. "You fool. Daring to agree to anything. Have you ever heard of words becoming reality? This world isn't as simple as you think. What you promised me must come true." Upon learning the truth, I was so furious that my lungs nearly exploded, and I grabbed a knife, ready to perish together with her. Unfortunately, my ex-boyfriend arrived just in time. Tall and strong, I was no match for him at all. "You're as ugly as an African black pig now. How dare you harm my precious Sarah? You must be tired of living." After that, the 2 of them locked me in the basement. I starved to death in a pitch-black environment. Fortunately, I was reborn. I suspect she has some kind of ability similar to verbal magic, so I must never agree to anything she asks. But I also understand one thing, as long as I don't agree to give her anything, I'll be safe. By this time, Sarah had already made my bed. She smiled brightly and said in a joking tone, "I really envy you city girls. You never had to do hard labor growing up, and you're so fair and pretty, not like me, dark and ugly. If only you could give me your beauty." I looked at her eager, excited eyes and let out a cold laugh. "Envy all you want, it won't help. Dream on if you think I'd give you my beauty." Sarah's smile froze instantly, her face filled with shock, looking like someone who got the wrong script. She was lucky. The other 2 roommates, who had remained silent until then, spoke up to help her out. Lucy, a cheerful girl, smiled and said to me, "Lisa, Sarah was obviously joking. Don't take it to heart." The other roommate, Kathy, who was more aloof, added, "Lisa, someone just helped you out, and this is how you talk to them. That's not how you treat people. Sarah asked for your beauty. But even if you casually agreed, could you actually give it away? That really hits the nail on the head. If I agreed, I really could give it away." Clearly, my words gave these 2 a bad impression of me, but I couldn't care less. In my past life, after I became ugly, they joined Sarah in ostracizing and bullying me countless times. I have no reason to consider their feelings now. Sarah snapped out of it and forced a laugh. "Lisa, look at you, taking things so seriously. We country folks speak bluntly, but we were actually complimenting your beauty. But that being said, I'll help you with your work, and you can comfort me with words, then we'll be even. Since you're so beautiful, why not just give me all your good looks?" "Okay, bitch." Still not giving up, still trying to manipulate me with words. Looking at her hypocritical face, a surge of hatred rose within me. Yet I flashed a big smile and blurted out under her expectant gaze, "No, haha." Instantly, Sarah's face turned completely dark. "But I can treat you to a meal as a thank you." Hearing this, Kathy and Lucy, who had been glaring at me, couldn't say anything more. "Thank you." Sarah looked disheveled and frustrated, but there was nothing she could do. Seeing this, I quickly smiled and said, "By the way, my boyfriend is here too. He's really handsome, and so are his friends. Maybe he can even introduce you to a boyfriend." As soon as the words fell, she nodded in pleasant surprise. "Okay. Thank you. Seeing her eyes rolling around, I knew exactly what she was plotting. I sneered inwardly. Beauty and property can't be given away, but a boyfriend can. I hope you seize the opportunity. Of course, I believe Sarah won't miss it. I walked into the restaurant with Sarah. From a distance, I saw my boyfriend Carl waving at me. When he noticed me, his handsome face was filled with a charming smile. However, as soon as he spotted Sarah beside me, a clear look of disgust appeared between his brows. No way. At this time, Sarah was dressed in a tacky style, with an average appearance and dark skin. Men with high standards would hardly take a second look at her. When Sarah saw Carl, her eyes were filled with infatuation, acting like a lovesick fool, making him extremely uncomfortable. Lisa, who is this? Didn't I say I wanted to have dinner alone with you? Why did you bring her along? Carl's snobbery was written all over his face. I sneered inwardly. In my past life, why didn't I notice my boyfriend's true nature earlier? I was truly blinded by his appearance. In that previous life, after I agreed to give my beauty to Sarah, I grew uglier day by day. Back then, Carl openly despised me. Every time we walked together, he would stay far away, afraid that others might notice our relationship. Later, he accidentally saw Sarah, who had grown even more beautiful, and was instantly smitten. He started fawning over her, which infuriated me. At the time, Sarah smiled and said, "Your boyfriend is so handsome, why don't you just give him to me?" Furious, I retorted in frustration, "If you like him, take him." Soon enough, my words came true again. Carl unilaterally announced our breakup and immediately moved on with Sarah without missing a beat. So, as far as my boyfriend Carl was concerned, even if I hadn't agreed to Sarah's request to gift him, that jerk would have left me anyway. Not to mention, he turned out to be one of the main culprits who ultimately got me killed. So, this boyfriend has to be sent away. I looked at my boyfriend and said, "Sarah helped me with some work today, so I treated her to a meal. Sarah is really nice. You're not allowed to bully her." Carl had no choice but to put up with Sarah being the third wheel. The entire meal left Carl feeling extremely uncomfortable, because Sarah was giving him seductive looks the entire time. It made him nauseous and completely killed his appetite. He barely finished half his meal before making an excuse to flee in panic. To be honest, I didn't have much appetite either, because I noticed Sarah has body odor, and it's making me uncomfortable. Wow, Lisa, your boyfriend is so handsome, just like that TV star. I wish I had such a good-looking boyfriend too, Sarah gushed, still staring dreamily at Carl's retreating figure. At the same time, her eyes kept darting toward me. As if waiting for my response, I curled my red lips and gave her exactly the answer she was hoping for. "He's just all show and no substance. I don't care about him. If you like him, I'll give him to you." At these words, Sarah got excited, her body trembling with emotion. She grabbed me and smiled meaningfully, saying, "Well, thank you so much then." I just smiled even more brightly and repeatedly said it was no trouble at all. The next day, early in the morning, the dormitory building was already buzzing with noise. "Wow, come quick, someone's confessing their love on the first day of school." Lucy called us out to take a look. My gaze was peculiar, and I had a guess in my heart. Sarah was acting extremely excited, as if she was about to welcome some highlight moment. She pulled me to the balcony in one go. "Lisa, let's go take a look." When I saw Carl holding a bouquet of flowers, a wave of fear washed over me. I understood that his confession wasn't meant for me. Can't help but marvel at how terrifying Sarah's verbal magic truly is. "Wow, Lisa, it's your boyfriend Carl. On the very first day of school, he's declaring you're taken to prevent other guys from pursuing you. He really loves you so much." Sarah's voice was loud, drawing everyone's attention, making Lucy and Kathy both glance at me with envy. Students from other dorms also turned to look our way. After all, Carl had an extremely attractive appearance, fair skin, long legs, handsome and charismatic. This type was still incredibly appealing to girls. Faced with everyone's gazes, I remained non-committal and silent. I knew the real show was about to begin. The next moment, Carl looked in our direction and raised the bouquet of flowers high. "I love you, Sarah." Instantly, the entire girls' dormitory was in an uproar. "Wow, who is Sarah? She's so lucky to get confessed to on the very first day. I bet she must be a stunning beauty to deserve such a handsome guy." Of course, a handsome guy's taste definitely won't be bad. While others were discussing, only Lucy and Kathy from our dorm were dumbfounded. They stared at Sarah with looks of utter disbelief. They prided themselves on not being as good-looking as me, but they certainly didn't think they were worse than Sarah. And this handsome guy is actually my boyfriend. Why is he suddenly chasing after Sarah? Has he gone blind or something? They were completely dumbfounded. Only Sarah was flushed with excitement, looking at me with an apologetic face. "Lisa, I really don't know anything. Did your boyfriend get the name wrong? I only met him once yesterday. How could he just..." Looking at her acting all innocent and fake, I really wanted to slap her, but I managed to hold back. At this moment, Carl continued speaking. Sarah, ever since I saw you yesterday, I couldn't sleep at all. My mind is completely filled with thoughts of you. I love you, Sarah. Please accept my pursuit. Come down and be my girlfriend. If you don't come, I won't leave. Lucy could no longer hold back, her gaze shifting back and forth between me and Sarah. No way. Kathy was also dumbfounded and speechless. Sarah grabbed my hand, looking like she was about to cry from anxiety. Lisa, I really don't know what happened. I'm sorry. I didn't expect him to fall in love with me at first sight either. You have to believe me. I had no interest in watching her performance and said impatiently, so, are you going or not? Sarah gritted her teeth. I'm sorry, but I still have to go. The truth is, I fell in love with Carl at first sight too. Lisa, don't be too upset. Love really can't be forced, unfortunately. To her disappointment, she couldn't find any trace of sadness on my face. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. Then you'd better hurry. Don't keep your sweetheart waiting. My reaction made Sarah somewhat uncomfortable, but she was convinced I was just pretending. Lisa, take care. With that, she hurriedly ran out the door. Lucy and Kathy looked at me with strange expressions, hesitating to speak. I chuckled and said, never thought I'd be the one to have a change of heart. Seeing how indifferent I was, they were left speechless and looked down at Carl as if he were an idiot. Pretty girls are out, ugly girls are in. What, have guys' standards changed these days? They were genuinely curious. When everyone saw Sarah appear, the room fell silent. After seeing Carl kneel down to confess his love to Sarah, my mind went completely blank. In the end, watching the two of them embrace tightly, everyone felt a wave of indescribable emotions, like 10,000 alpacas galloping through their hearts, because Carl is a towering 8 meters tall, while Sarah barely reaches 5 meters. The visual contrast was absolutely staggering. 3 words, not harmonious. Suddenly, Carl let out a shout. Damn, Sarah, do you have body odor? I'm about to pass out. Under everyone's gaze, Sarah's face burned with embarrassment. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow to get it checked. Fine. Who am I to refuse since I love you? Carl responded with a pained expression, his face twitching. The next second, ha ha ha, their conversation wasn't quiet, and the room erupted in uproarious laughter when Lucy, with her big mouth, spread the news that I was Carl's ex-girlfriend. Carl's reputation was completely ruined, a girlfriend who's both wealthy and beautiful, yet he chooses to abandon her for Sarah, dark-skinned, unattractive, and with body odor. Everyone thinks he's out of his mind. At the same time, his fickle behavior solidifies his reputation as a scumbag, and no one wants anything to do with him. That night, Sarah didn't return home until dawn. When she finally came back, she was glowing with satisfaction. Lisa, Carl and I are in love. I feel like we're tied together by the red string of fate, destined to be a perfect match. Please don't take it to heart. He said he loves my simplicity, my diligence, and my resilience. What's more, he doesn't care about my looks or family background. I'm truly so happy. Of course, I'm curious about one thing. If I said I'd give your boyfriend back to you, would you be willing to trade your beauty for my diligent and simple qualities? Damn bitch, still up to no good, trying to play me again, being always wary of her. Of course I wouldn't fall for it. The moment I said I agree, I'd immediately turn into an ugly woman that everyone detests. I took a step back, covering my nose. Hell no. I'd rather have the most beautiful face, lie in bed doing nothing while waiting to die, and stay single forever than become ugly. I'd rather die alone than lose my looks. Lucy burst into laughter, echoing my words. I'd choose beauty too. Who needs character anyway? Kathy didn't speak but nodded deeply in agreement. Sarah watched my movements, her anger visibly rising, and upon hearing the words from the three of us, her eyes turned crimson with urgency. Humph, what's the use of being pretty? Your boyfriend still chose me. She seemed to think of something and then smiled. Lisa, I know you must be heartbroken after losing your boyfriend, but there's no need to degrade yourself with such angry words. I know you're very wealthy. If you could use your fortune to win your boyfriend back, I'm sure you'd be willing, right? How could I have fallen into her verbal trap? I spat out. This young lady does indeed have money. I could take that money to a club and hire a few male models to have fun with. One's 100 times more handsome than Carl. Wouldn't that be much better? With those words, I left Sarah speechless, and she stormed out, slamming the door. From that day on, my life isn't as miserable as it was in my past life. Beauty, wealth, and my parents doting. I have them all. Everything is going perfectly smoothly. Sarah keeps trying to set traps for me from time to time, but I never fell for it. Always retorting sharply and leaving her fuming, helpless. She could only temporarily shift her focus to Carl, sticking to him like glue every day, terrified that her handsome boyfriend might be snatched away. That day, as I returned from shopping, I was stopped right in my tracks. Looking closely, it was none other than Carl. His expression carried an indescribable struggle. Lisa, I think I'm bewitched. My mind is filled with Sarah's image every moment. It's all her, but deep down, I don't seem to like her at all. In fact, I even loathe her intensely. The one I've always loved is you, Lisa. Can you help me? There must be something wrong with her. It's like she's a demon controlling me. It's too painful. By the end, his face twisted into something almost grotesque, brimming with a near hysterical agitation. I have to say, Carl's current state is exactly what I wanted. And it brings me immense satisfaction. He simply doesn't like Sarah's current appearance. If Sarah were to steal my looks, he'd probably be overjoyed. I caught a whiff of the strange scent on him, Sarah's scent, and instinctively took a step back, my eyes cold as knives. Stop talking nonsense here. I don't understand a word of it. You're Sarah's boyfriend now, so stay away from me. My actions and expression clearly deeply provoked Carl. His face flushed with shame and anger as he glared at me with hatred. Lisa, we've had over a decade of friendship. Now that I'm in trouble and asking for your help, you're being so heartless. I must have misjudged you all along. I could only laugh bitterly. In my past life, he could even take my life without hesitation. Now he's talking to me about being heartless. How laughable. What are you all doing? A piercing scream rang out. Sarah rushed over like the wind, standing between Carl and me like a mother hen protecting her chicks, eyeing me with wariness. Lisa, I never thought you'd be this kind of person. You're my roommate, and now you're trying to steal my boyfriend. Have you no shame? I scoffed coldly. Seems you've forgotten. This scumbag was originally my boyfriend. I didn't say a word when you stole him from me. You. Sarah was furious but had no words to retort. I proudly displayed the handful of luxury shopping bags in my hands, brimming with satisfaction. I just got back from shopping when he blocked my way, saying he still loves me. Sarah gazed enviously at the luxury goods in my hands, her eyes filled with jealousy and resentment. Hearing Carl declare his love for me, she gritted her teeth in anger and turned to glare at him fiercely. Carl turned pale with fear, pointing at me. She's lying. You're the one I love most. She's not even fit to hold a candle to you. But you're really so ugly. Wah. Giggle. His last sentence made me burst out laughing. Sarah, furious and humiliated, dragged Carl away by force. I watched the two figures walking away, once again realizing the terrifying power of Sarah's quasi-verbal magic. It could completely control a person's emotions. No matter how unwilling Carl was, he could only love her. In this contradiction, he struggled helplessly. As long as Sarah made herself beautiful, Carl would undoubtedly be devoted to her. Watching the two of them walk toward the distant grove, a thought crossed my mind, and I quietly followed them. What? You're saying you have a verbal spell system where if Lisa personally says she's giving something to you, it will come true. So, you mean Lisa once said she was giving her boyfriend to you, which is why I'm completely under your control, helplessly in love with you. Carl heard Sarah's explanation and said with some disbelief, hiding in the shadows. My pupils dilated as I finally learned the truth. I dared not make a sound and continued to listen. Over there, Sarah nodded, stroking Carl's face with infatuation. Yes, brother Carl, I love you so much. Please don't dislike me. Okay, I'll work hard to cure my body odor, try to become more beautiful, and make myself worthy of you. Carl suppressed his disgust. Then hurry up already, Sarah quickly replied. I want to. But Lisa seems to have caught on. Every time I set a trap for her, she doesn't fall for it. I really don't know what to do now. Carl was exasperated. Do you have to fixate on Lisa? There are plenty of rich and attractive people at school. Just pick someone else. Sarah gave a bitter smile. On the first day of school, I bound the system to her. It can't be changed. Otherwise I wouldn't have dragged it out this long. I couldn't help but sneer after hearing that. No wonder they kept targeting me alone. Exactly. If they could switch targets, they would have done so long ago. They wouldn't still be stuck with an ugly face like this. Upon learning the truth, Carl's hatred for me reached its peak. He resented me for sending him to Sarah, and every day was torment. Sarah's repulsiveness and the classmates' mockery made his life unbearable. Driven by hatred, Carl suddenly spoke up. If gentle methods don't work, why don't you try force? A glint flashed in Sarah's eyes. What do you mean? Capture her, force her to say it. Make her give you her beauty, make her hand over her family background too. Would that work? Carl said with a vicious glint in his eyes. Sarah immediately grew excited, nodding eagerly. It would, as long as she says it herself. The system can strip her of everything and transfer it all to me. I want her beauty. I want her family fortune. Carl, do you have a way to help me? If we succeed, what's mine will be yours. Upon hearing this, Carl's breathing quickened, and then he broke into a wide grin, pulling Sarah into a tight embrace. Sarah, my dear, why didn't you mention such a good thing earlier? Do you know how wealthy Lisa's family is? Their fortune is at least $1 billion. Although we grew up together, our family backgrounds were worlds apart. Our fathers knew each other from a young age and were like brothers in hardship. But my father later achieved great success, while his father remained unsuccessful. My father is sentimental and keeps frequent contact with his family, so you could say we were childhood friends by circumstance. Sarah was overjoyed. Carl, you have a solution. Carl's face twisted fiercely. It's simple. We kidnap Lisa and beat the truth out of her. You must become rich. You know how much my quality of life has declined since I got together with you. Sarah forced an awkward smile and clenched her fists. We will definitely succeed, overcome by emotion. She grabbed Carl's head and kissed him, suppressing the pain in his heart. Carl responded with deep affection. What a disgusting pair of scumbags. In the past, I always thought giving Carl to Sarah would be torture for him, but now, looking at them, they're truly a match made in heaven, equally cunning, equally vicious. I left without batting an eye. They wanted to kidnap me, but I didn't care, at most. They were setting some trap for me to fall into, but it seemed there was something more interesting. Since Sarah has bound herself to me, aside from beauty and wealth, I can give other things too. Why not give it a try? I took out a small pair of scissors from my bag. Closing my eyes and gritting my teeth, I made a deep cut across my palm. Blood flowed out, the pain unbearable. Sarah, I want to give you my wound. The next second, from the small grove in the distance came Sarah's scream. It hurts, my hand. Why is it bleeding? And the wound on my palm had already vanished, at that moment. I burst into laughter. Revenge is within reach. The next day, my mom was hit by a car. Carl appeared before me with an eerie urgency. I know it's coming. I pretended to frown. Then why aren't you hurrying home? What are you coming to find me for? Che, your family has a branch here, right? Borrow one and take turns driving back with me. I'm afraid I can't handle it alone. It's too late now, and I can't get a ticket for the high-speed train. I want to rush back overnight. Please, Lisa, help me. You know how much my mom likes you. I took out my phone. All right, then I'll ask my dad first and have him check on your mom. We can head back after that. It won't be too late. Carl immediately found an excuse and fled in panic. These two idiots can't even come up with a decent excuse. I don't want to play their game of being kidnapped by falling into their trap. In my past life, I had suffered enough. In this life, I refused to suffer even the slightest grievance. I contacted my family and arranged for 2 bodyguards to come and protect me in secret. With safety assured, I smiled wickedly. No, this young lady will play with you properly. From this day onward, I no longer restrict my diet. Durian, hot pot, seafood, all kinds of exotic delicacies. I indulge in them all. Eating however I please, eat whatever you want. That feels so damn good. Stepped on the scale this morning, gained 2 pounds. I silently murmured, Sarah, I'm willing to give you the extra 2 pounds of flesh on my body. Instantly, the scale showed 2 pounds less. Meanwhile, the oblivious Sarah seemed to have gained some weight on her face. I wasn't satisfied, so I came up with a plan to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I spent a fortune ordering a bunch of expensive takeout and quietly brought it back to the dorm. Boston lobster, wild yellow croaker, tuna sashimi, wow. Lisa, you're really splurging, Lucy said, eyeing the lavish spread of food while swallowing hard. Kathy and Sarah were no exception, their eyes filled with anticipation. I clapped my hands. Come on, don't be shy, hurry up and eat. The 3 of them immediately rushed over, ready to dig in. Wait a minute, Sarah. I didn't call you. Sarah's face immediately darkened. Lisa, what do you mean by that? Lucy, unable to resist the sight of delicious food any longer, said. Don't you know what you've done, stealing someone else's boyfriend? Do you even have the nerve to eat? Kathy nodded in firm agreement. Sarah was so angry she couldn't speak, could only watch helplessly as the 3 of us devoured the food, while she drooled on the side. So delicious, so tasty. I've never eaten anything this good in my life. Lisa, thank you, Lucy said, clutching her stomach with a satisfied expression. Kathy was also enjoying the meal, looking at me gratefully. I waved my hand. Tasty, right? We'll do it again tomorrow. Wow, that's great. Lucy and Kathy were overjoyed. Meanwhile, Sarah on the other side could only run away with a dark expression. No surprise, she went to Carl again to plot kidnapping me. However, as long as I don't take the bait and with the protection of bodyguards, they have no way to kidnap me. The following month, I ordered every delicious food around the school and took Lucy and Kathy to feast every day. The 2 of them visibly gained a lot of weight, and my figure remains unchanged. They seem to have noticed changes in their own figures. I laughed and said, if you're getting fat, you can stop eating. Your figure is what matters most. At first, the 2 of them managed to hold back, but upon seeing me eat until my mouth was dripping with oil, they couldn't resist any longer and rushed over to indulge themselves once again. 1 month later, Kathy and Lucy gained a full 20 to 30 pounds. Becoming veritable chubby girls. Of course, the most bizarre case was Sarah. Despite not eating a single bite, her weight reached 160 pounds. Her thighs were thicker than my waist. You should know, she's only about 5 feet tall. Her eyes were squeezed into slits by fat, and she'd be panting and dripping with sweat after just a few steps. Every time she stood next to Carl, it would provoke roaring laughter. making Carl increasingly embarrassed, so much so that he wished he could strangle Sarah. But instead, he'd end up hugging her and whispering sweet nothings. Sarah, don't care about what others think, I love you so much, woo-woo. The two of them became the talk of the school once again. Finally, Lisa, am I this fat because of you? Sarah came to find me. I put on an innocent face and sneered. What does your weight have to do with me? You must have been sneaking food in secret. If you ask me, you should just control your own mouth. Sarah looked at me with suspicion but couldn't say anything. After all, she couldn't just blurt out her suspicion that I might have discovered the system. How come you don't gain weight no matter what you eat? I was born with good genes. You can't envy your way into that. You. At this point, Kathy and Lucy switched sides, standing with Sarah as they glared at me with resentment. They had both been dumped by their boyfriends for being too overweight. Only then did I realize it was my trap. Lucy, Lisa, you're truly sinister. Kathy, Lisa, you deserve to die horribly. Me, oh wow, still complaining after getting the advantage. That's right, this is my revenge on these two. After how they excluded and bullied me in my past life, making them gain a few extra pounds is fair enough. Interestingly, the two who were determined to lose weight didn't succeed. Instead, they drifted further and further down the path of getting fatter. Until by graduation they were still the fat losers everyone talked about. 1 month later, Sarah, now weighing over 200 pounds, knelt before me with her flabby body, sobbing uncontrollably, tears and snot streaming down her face. Lisa, I was wrong. Please let me go. Stop transferring your weight to me. Woo-woo. If this goes on, I'll die. I looked at the human-shaped mountain of flesh before me without a shred of pity and laughed. What did you do wrong? Sarah wanted to kowtow. But she couldn't bend her waist no matter how hard she tried. The truth was already painfully obvious. If she still couldn't guess that I'd discovered the system, then she'd be truly stupid. I was wrong to bind you with the verbal spell system, wrong to covet your beauty, your family background, and your boyfriend. I'll give Carl back to you. Okay, just let me go. I'm in so much pain. Looking down at her with disdain, I sneered. What a disgusting African swine. As for trash like Carl, you can keep him for yourself. After hurling those words, I turned and walked away without another glance. Sarah ended up being hospitalized because of me, under the system's control. Carl contributed both money and effort, providing round-the-clock care. Within just a few days, news came that Sarah had dropped out of school, and Carl, who deeply loved her, withdrew as well, making people admire his loyalty and devotion. After Sarah's successful surgery, she lost a significant amount of weight. She kept begging me to stop eating. This time, I agreed to her request, because if she died now, it wouldn't be fun anymore. Carl followed Sarah back to her rural hometown and became her personal male nanny. He even went as far as breaking ties with his family for Sarah's sake, leaving my parents speechless and sighing whenever they called. During the day, Carl had to work in the fields while also taking care of Sarah, who was so overweight she could barely walk, making his life miserable. Sarah simply couldn't lose weight, because I would occasionally contribute to her weight gain. The first holiday, Carl appeared at my doorstep. His face was weathered, covered in wrinkles. Gone was the charm of the once fair-skinned youth. Please, eat more, get fatter. Then transfer all your weight to Sarah at once. Just eat her to death, and I'll finally be free, I said with utter seriousness. You bastard, she's your beloved. How could you say such things? Are you some kind of beast? Then, I had the bodyguards throw him out, and so, Carl and Sarah stayed together, muddling through 10 years and a days. Sarah couldn't take it anymore and took her own life first. Carl laughed maniacally, shouting that he was finally free, but the next moment, uncontrollably, he picked up a knife, yelling, Sarah, I love you. I'm coming to be with you, and plunged it into his own heart. Turns out, the love the system forced upon him was called Till Death Do Us Part. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The first thing I did after being reborn was to refuse the $300,000 living allowance from my parents and instead take out a massive online loan, all because, in my past life, my roommate had found a system that could swap any money I received with hers. No matter how much I asked my family to transfer, my account balance would always show only $300. Meanwhile, she used my money to become the glamorous campus belle, dated the school heartthrob, and even turned the tables by claiming I was the malicious poor student she had been supporting. I angrily opened the transfer records my parents had sent me, wanting to prove my point, only to be shocked that all the amounts had changed to $300. Meanwhile, my roommate pitifully held up her phone. Look, my parents send me $300,000 every month. I don't understand why Josephine refuses to face reality. I was bombarded with overwhelming attacks and insults. Every relative who came forward to testify for me met with misfortune and died tragically, and my own health rapidly deteriorated. In the end, the campus heartthrob, seeking revenge for his roommate, had me dragged into a small grove where I was tortured to death. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn. This time, I'll see just how long my roommate, burdened with massive online loans, can keep up the act. Josephine, you're truly disgusting. Turns out all your designer clothes came from handouts. Even Miss Freya doesn't flaunt her wealth like you do, living off charity yet spending so extravagantly. It's outrageous. Only someone as kind-hearted as Miss Freya would tolerate you, otherwise you'd have been kicked out long ago. Stop playing dead and speak. Get on your knees and apologize to Miss Freya right now, or don't blame us for what happens next. As the stream of curses continued ringing in my ears, I felt a momentary daze before realizing I had truly been reborn, back to the day when my roommate Freya impersonated a wealthy heiress through the system, labeling me as the impoverished student she was sponsoring. Now, seeing that I hadn't spoken up for a while, Freya stepped forward and spoke up with understanding. Josephine, you wouldn't possibly claim that all this money was given to you by your parents, and that you're actually the daughter of a wealthy family, would you? If so, why don't you show us your balance and let everyone see for themselves? Or better yet, have your parents transfer you a few $100,000 right now. That way, none of us would have anything left to say. In my past life, I fell right into the trap, staring at the $300 balance in my card. I couldn't believe my eyes and frantically asked my parents to transfer money to me, eager to prove myself. I never imagined I'd end up elevating her instead, helping her amass a fortune and solidify her status as a wealthy heiress. And all the money my parents sent me, the moment I raised my phone, transformed into mere transfers of a few $dozen at most. In an instant, I became the target of public scorn. Everyone condemned me as vain and selfish, accusing me of exploiting my impoverished parents for personal gain. I was pondering how to fight against this system when Nathan, the school heartthrob who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. Josephine, even now you still refuse to admit your mistakes. Someone as vain and selfish as you doesn't deserve Freya's help. Just thinking about how you shamelessly chased after me before makes me sick. His brows furrowed in disgust as he stepped forward and shoved me to the ground with force. Yet during military training, it was him who approached me first, complimenting how beautiful the necklace around my neck was and saying he wanted to borrow it to buy one like it for his mother. And now he shoved me hard to the ground, my shoulder aching fiercely, while the crowd around us erupted, cheering and shouting, "Way to go, Nathan." Freya grew even more aggressive. She bit her lip, looking at me with tearful eyes, showing no intention of helping me up. Josephine, I never thought it would come to this. As roommates, all you had to do was admit your mistake, and I wouldn't have pushed it. But why must you stubbornly twist the truth? Did I ever say I'd stubbornly deny it? I gritted my teeth and struggled to my feet, forcing out a smile. I'm sorry, Miss Freya. It was indeed my vanity that made me spend the money you gave me on these things. As punishment, I'll donate them to charity for resale. I hope you won't hold it against me, Miss Freya, and that you'll continue to support me in the future. The classmates, who had been ready with a barrage of words, were left speechless, exchanging uncertain glances, unsure of what to say. Freya was also stunned, her eyes flickering for a moment. Josephine, there's no need for this. If you really want to admit your mistake, it would be better to sell it first and then donate the money directly. What if those people damage it? It's fine, I trust the professionals. If I sell it first, would I even have money left to donate? Wouldn't the money just end up in her hands? I turned around, my expression completely cold, logged into a lending platform, and attempted to apply for a $100 online loan. As expected, the money didn't reach my card after the process was completed. When I re-entered the page, I found that the borrower listed was actually Freya. Sure enough, the system had thoroughly swapped everything, even changing the source of the funds. I could hardly keep from laughing out loud. Freya, your nightmare is about to come. I borrowed $600,000 in online loans all at once. Then I called to refuse my parents sending me living expenses, applied for off-campus accommodation, and used only what was readily available for all expenses. But even so, my chest still feels tight, and the effects the system has on my body remain. At noon, as I walked out of the school gate carrying my small bag, I saw Freya and Nathan waiting by the roadside for a ride, followed by many classmates. Everyone noticed me, their faces filled with mocking expressions. Josephine. Freya called my name loudly and ran toward me, her face beaming with joy. What a coincidence, I was just talking about you. After some thought, I realized it's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish. I've decided to stop giving you financial support and instead help you find part-time work. It must be said, money really does nurture a person. Nowadays, Freya is decked out in designer brands from head to toe, and the insecurity and sensitivity in her eyes have completely vanished. It's hard to connect her with the girl who could only afford a single plate of shredded potatoes for a meal in the past. I'm really curious, what kind of methods did she use to bind me like this? She pulled out a stack of flyers then shoved them into my hands, looking at me with earnest concern. These are all high-paying jobs I've specially selected for you. Once you earn money through your own efforts and donate it, people will stop disliking you. My eyes are strained from finding these opportunities. Coincidentally, I was planning to treat our classmates to a 5-star hotel meal. This time, it'll be your treat. I've never seen someone so shameless, using the money my parents sent me while expecting me to take on part-time jobs to keep supporting her. What the hell is written on these flyers? There are even ads for selling eggs. At this moment, Nathan and his classmates also walked over. The students spoke up disdainfully. Josephine, what are you still standing around for? Some of these part-time jobs are about to close registration. Hurry up, they won't wait for you. Just now, Freya's parents sent her another $600,000. That's more than your parents could earn in a lifetime, even if they didn't eat or drink. How can you, a scholarship student, afford to just stand here doing nothing? A gleaming Rolex had mysteriously appeared on Nathan's wrist, estimated to be worth hundreds of thousands, clearly chosen by a woman. I couldn't help but sneer. Freya really spared no expense when pursuing a guy. No wonder she was so desperate to get money from me. As a student, I think my priority should be focusing on my studies, I said with a smile. From now on, I plan to limit my monthly living expenses to just $300, not a penny more. I welcome everyone to hold me accountable. I turned to leave, but someone suddenly grabbed my arm. Is this the attitude a poor student should have when speaking to your young lady? Nathan shook me off with disgust, as if he had touched something filthy. Freya went out of her way to find these part-time jobs for you. How dare you refuse? Do you really enjoy being a parasite? His icy gaze overlapped with the look he gave when watching others torment me in my past life, and I instinctively held my breath. And he had already flung me forcefully to the ground. Pulling Freya away as he turned to leave, a thought suddenly rose in my mind. It seemed that Nathan wasn't just treating me this way to please Freya, he genuinely seemed to hate me. It took a long time before my family's driver finally arrived to pick me up in the Rolls-Royce. By then, I was already drenched in sweat from the heat. He parked the car unhurriedly and only then honked twice to signal me over. Uncle Bob, why are you so slow? I was almost passing out from heat stroke, and my back was already soaked with sweat by the time I got in the car. Clearly in a good mood, he put on a stern face when he heard this and said, "Let me tell you, you really need to change that spoiled princess attitude of yours. I'm your family's driver, not your servant. I'm practically your elder. How can you talk to me like this? It's just standing for a while. No other girl is as delicate as you. I wouldn't allow my son to date someone like you." At that moment, I was looking at the social media posts my classmates had shared. OMG, Nathan's family is so loaded. They even let us ride in a Rolls-Royce, so this is what a Starlight headliner looks like. Wow, so impressive. Just wish there was one more car next time. I want a Maybach. If we hadn't wasted time teaching that shameless poor student a lesson, we'd be chilling in the luxury car by now. I froze. Wasn't that my family's car? I immediately had someone check and found out that Uncle Bob's son was actually Nathan. Everything makes sense now. No wonder in my past life, no matter how hard I tried to prove my identity, there was always a mole leaking information. No wonder Nathan was so eager to put me to death. I'm afraid everything was a coordinated effort between him and Freya. My hand slowly reached for the necklace that Nathan had borrowed during military training. It seems that was when Freya, originally a poor student, suddenly became incredibly wealthy. Unfortunately, at the time, I used my meal card every day and didn't pay much attention to my balance, which gave her the opportunity. Miss Josephine, what are you trying to do? With a sudden break, Uncle Bob looked at me through the rearview mirror with lingering fear, his gaze falling on my hand about to remove the necklace. He exclaimed in panic, "This is the coming-of-age gift from the madam. You're not going to take it off, are you?" Looking at him like this, all the answers became obvious. Of course not, I'll just touch it. I laughed and simply closed my eyes. Hearing the man in the driver's seat let out a sigh of relief. Back at the villa, I immediately took off the necklace and called my dad to tell him that Uncle Bob was being inappropriate and to fire him, then enjoyed a meal prepared by a French chef, and after eating and drinking to my heart's content, I lay down on the bed. Indeed, after removing this necklace, I felt the pressure in my chest ease, as if a heavy stone had suddenly been lifted from me. To avoid alerting anyone, I rummaged through the cabinet and put on an identical one around my neck. So now, Freya, all you have left is that massive 600,000 online loan. During the afternoon PE class, after running 800 meters, all the students were exhausted and collapsed on the grass, unable to move, their faces flushed red. I was also drenched in sweat, panting heavily from exhaustion. Freya suddenly called out to me, "Josephine." She put on the airs of a young lady and ordered me, "We're all tired. Go buy everyone a bottle of water. It's just outside the school gate. Thanks for your trouble, and come back as soon as possible." She had calculated it perfectly. I had already visited the school clinic 3 times recently due to health issues, so that $300 must have been nearly spent. Now that I didn't have enough money, I naturally had to ask my parents to transfer me some, so she could sit back and reap the benefits while also gaining goodwill. But now, after deactivating the system, I didn't indulge her at all and said coldly, "You make it sound so easy. There are 80 people here. Why don't you go yourself?" Freya bit her lip and looked at me with a troubled expression. "Josephine, I just wanted to give you a chance to mend your relationships with your classmates. I transferred so much money to you before, you couldn't have spent it all, right? Since you're free now, why not go buy water for everyone? Consider it a contribution to the group." A subtle glint flickered in her eyes. "If you're really out of money, just ask your parents for some. They're supposed to support you." After all, the surrounding classmates, sweltering in the heat, erupted in anger. "Freya treated us all to a 5-star restaurant at noon. See how generous she is. How can there be such a big difference in the same dorm? All you know is taking advantage. Ha, you dare disobey Miss Freya's orders. You must be tired of living. How can there be someone like you who doesn't know their place? Being poor is one thing, but you're so stingy too. Is a few dozen dollars going to kill you? My legs are about to break from exhaustion. Go get me a bottle of Mizone now." I looked at these greedy, selfish fairweather friends and sneered, "You really have the nerve. Acting like you're the only ones who are tired, so I'm just supposed to be at your beck and call." Suddenly, hurried footsteps sounded from behind. "Josephine, you bitch." Nathan stormed over, furious. He was seething over his father's dismissal but couldn't confront me directly about it. He had previously attacked me several times without facing any consequences, and now he's accustomed to publicly reprimanding me. He raised his hand to slap me, but I dodged it directly. "Oh. Isn't this the rich kid whose family owns a Rolls-Royce? Why are you trying to hit me right away? Did I do something to offend you?" I asked with an innocent look, not forgetting to steer the narrative. "It's so hot right now. Just me going to buy water won't be enough. Why don't you, young Master Nathan, and Miss Freya call a few luxury cars over to take everyone for a ride to cool off?" As soon as these words were spoken, the classmates indeed got excited, all clamoring to ride in the luxury cars, except for those 2 whose expressions turned extremely ugly. I said leisurely, "What are you waiting for, young Master Nathan? You're not pretending to be rich like me, are you?" These words undoubtedly struck a nerve with Nathan, and he immediately pointed at my nose and started cursing. "Open your damn eyes and see. A single pair of my shoes costs tens of thousands. This watch is over 400K, and even this t-shirt is more than 8,000. Who the hell are you to bark at me? Does everything you own even add up to $100? What gives you the right to question me? Am I right?" Everyone, at that moment, the surrounding classmates were practically melting from the heat and had no patience for his bragging, just urging impatiently, "If that's the case, young Master Nathan, why don't you call a few more cars? We didn't get enough rides at noon." Exactly, at noon. We were all crammed into one car. It was such a bad experience. Plus, we had to listen to you and Miss Freya flirting the whole way. You 2 definitely owe us some proper compensation. Miss Freya, why don't you call the cab then? Freya could see these people were clearly a bottomless pit. Their demands would only keep growing. She certainly wasn't going to agree to pay for them again. "I can't take it anymore. I feel so dizzy. I think I'm getting heat stroke." Freya suddenly staggered 2 steps, pretending to faint as she collapsed to the ground, only to be scooped up by Nathan, who then dashed outside with her, using the excuse of going to the restroom. I secretly followed behind them. In the infirmary, Freya was sweating profusely under the fan, while Nathan sat beside her, peeling an apple. "What the hell is wrong with this bitch? Has she figured something out? She absolutely refuses to ask her family for living expenses, and she won't even take on a part-time job when I suggest it." Freya grew more frightened the more she thought about it and sat straight up in bed. She must have realized something was wrong. It was strange enough that she suddenly moved out of the dorm, but now it seems she figured out that all the money she received would be transferred away by me, so she decided to take nothing and just use what was already available. Nathan narrowed his eyes, handed her the apple, and a cold smile crept across his face. Even if she did notice something, what could she do? Don't forget, the system will make her health deteriorate more and more. Her parents are always abroad, and once she collapses and ends up in the hospital, we'll have her parents transfer the medical fees, and the money will still end up in our hands. I just can't stand people who are born lucky. Why is she a rich heiress while I'm just the son of her family's driver? She won't get to live so comfortably. From that day on, Freya and Nathan simply started living together off campus. Their social media feeds were filled daily with posts showcasing mansions, luxury goods, and extravagant parties, so lavish it would make anyone's jaw drop. They even celebrated an anniversary every 3 days, complete with performances by professional violinists. Freya happily captioned, "I never imagined such perfect love would come my way. Waking up to fruits airlifted from New Zealand every day when I get tired from watching dramas. He takes me to 5-star restaurants to nourish me, he's so thoughtful, the slightest frown from me, and he showers me with LV and Hermes gifts. I'm basking in happiness every day." Nathan also left a heartfelt comment below, "The moment I met you, the whole world faded into insignificance. I will protect you forever, my princess." The huge classroom erupted as students saw all this. Holy shit, this is next level. I've only seen this kind of powerful alliance between elite second-generation heirs in TV dramas and novels. I'm crying with envy. This is literally the perfect romance between a novel's male and female leads. Truly, true love only blossoms in extremely wealthy families. Please let me live this kind of life in my next reincarnation. I want to experience this effortless existence too. Of course, some people couldn't resist dragging me out to take the blame. LMAO. Josephine must be green with envy seeing this. No matter how hard he tried to chase the Nathan family's fortune before, he never caught up. Oh please, people end up with their own kind for a reason. Freya is a rich heiress, she deserves gifts worth hundreds of thousands or millions. Meanwhile, Josephine probably cries tears of gratitude over a $10 bracelet, someone that low class would never catch Nathan's eye. Ha. Josephine's gonna want to jump off a building after hearing this. The guy she desperately simped for just publicly humiliated her by getting with his social equal. A single casually flaunted gift from them would be something she could never afford in her lifetime. I listened to all this without a flicker of change in my expression, because just moments ago, my parents abroad, feeling guilty for neglecting me, bought me 5 more villas to stay in wherever I please during summer vacation. With such wealth at my disposal, how could I possibly be the slightest bit affected by such petty voices around me? Moreover, these two are about to have their good times come to an end. Finally, the debt collectors came knocking, demanding Freya repay the loan of $1.2 million with interest within 3 days. She was in the middle of playing bedroom games with Nathan when she received the text message. Stunned, she couldn't believe her eyes. Yet the debt collection calls kept pouring in one after another, even reaching her parents, who asked her what was going on. "What's going on? When did I ever take out an online loan? Are you sure you've got the right person?" However, the other party directly sent over her ID card and the transfer information for that $600,000. "Freya, we know your school and home address, as well as information about your friends and family. Just return the money honestly, and nothing will happen otherwise. Don't blame us for ruining you. People should always pay for their early indulgences, shouldn't they?" I was getting a spa at the villa when Freya called, and it was almost 11 p.m., time for me to sleep. I answered the phone as soon as I heard it ring, and the sharp scream on the other end nearly pierced my eardrum. "Josephine, are you fucking insane? How dare you take out a $600,000 online loan? Are you trying to get yourself killed?" I picked at my ear with one hand, almost laughing out loud. As expected from the online lending platform I carefully chose, it must have driven Freya completely mad by now. "What online loan? I don't understand what you're talking about, and even if I did take one out, it's none of your business. Why are you so worked up?" I said coolly before hanging up the phone without hesitation. The next morning at 8, I entered the classroom as usual and found a seat to sit down. As soon as I sat down, the girl next to me suddenly let out a scream. Looking disgusted as she quickly gathered her things and stood up. "Get away from me, you're disgusting," she shouted loudly, grabbing her backpack and swiftly moving to a seat in the back. The drowsiness of not being fully awake instantly dissipated, and various murmurs began to rise around. Indeed, when people are poor to a certain extent, they resort to crooked paths. Who would have thought she could do such a thing? It's utterly disgusting. She's a disgrace to our college. The principal should expel her immediately and not let her ruin the campus atmosphere any further. Her parents must be heartbroken. After all their efforts to raise their daughter, she ends up doing something like this, throwing away her dignity for money. No wonder Nathan hates her so much. He probably knew she was being kept by someone long ago. I heard this last sentence crystal clear and immediately slammed the table. Standing up, "What the hell are you talking about? If you've got the guts, say it to my face." The moment I finished speaking, a phone was thrown right in front of me. "Josephine, you brought this shame upon yourself by refusing to save face when given the chance. We've already shown you considerable restraint by not pointing fingers directly at you. This humiliation is entirely of your own making." I looked at my phone screen, and the first thing that caught my eye was the word explosive on a campus forum post. Rumor. A financially struggling student at our school allegedly becomes a sugar baby, willingly acting as a mistress for an older man to live in a luxury mansion. The accompanying images were multiple photos of me entering my family's villa and stepping out of a luxury car. Every photo cunningly blurred half of my face, but anyone with eyes can still recognize it's me. Post content. There's a financially struggling student at our school who's been living off her roommate's support. Yet she spends extravagantly, exploiting others' kindness for luxury consumption. After being exposed, her roommate withdrew the support. Holding a grudge, she actually hooked up with an older man to earn money through her body, then turned around to verbally abuse and attack her former roommate out of deliberate revenge. Utterly appalling. Since last night, the comment section has already piled up hundreds of replies. Holy shit. Isn't this the perfect real-life version of the farmer and the viper? Some people will resent you if you help them once, but not for a lifetime. This is so disgusting. Why does the girl in the photo look so familiar? She looks like Josephine from our department, and the details all match up. No wonder she dresses up so prim and proper every day. Turns out she's being kept. She really treats finding a man as her second chance at life. Damn, I hope she drops dead soon. I've always disliked her. If I ever see someone like her ruining the school's reputation, I'll make sure she meets the king of hell. Tisk tsk. This is what female college students are like nowadays. Can't blame them. The allure of a luxury mansion is too strong. They don't even mind the old man's musty smell. How filthy. I slammed my hand on the table and said sternly, "These are nothing but slanderous lies. I'll call the police right now to clear my name." As I was about to dial the emergency number, Freya stepped forward and stopped me. "Josephine, we all know you're a financially struggling student, yet these photos clearly show you living in a luxury house and riding in expensive cars. Don't you have anything to explain to everyone? We're just raising reasonable doubts. If we've wronged you, just prove yourself. We're all classmates. No need to escalate things like this, even calling the police. Right now." Just looking at her face makes me want to tear it apart. I didn't steal or rob anything. Why should I explain myself to you? Who do you think you are? Nathan also stepped forward, still looking at me with that same disdainful and contemptuous expression. "Josephine, you really need to reflect on yourself. Why is it that I just can't stand you? Someone as selfish, low class, and uncultured as you makes me sick just looking at you. Why don't you take a whiff of the stench of poverty you reek from head to toe? What else could you be but a kept woman? If you've got the guts, show us your bank balance to prove it. I'll prove your damn uncle." I immediately grabbed a stack of books and hurled them at him with full force. I understand that they are now completely desperate and must resort to such means to force me to prove my identity. And if I do prove my identity, it will inevitably require my parents to transfer money to me, thereby resolving their crisis. Watching Nathan's expression suddenly turn cold, I clapped my hands and said with a smile, "Since things have come to this point, I won't hide it from everyone any longer. I will now prove my true identity to all of you." I picked up my phone and called my dad. "Hey Dad, I need some money for something. Can you transfer me 30 million? Yeah, I'm fine. Love you, Dad." The classmates around me burst out laughing when they heard this. "No way, Josephine, are you out of your mind? Do you even understand what 30 million means? You've read too many novels, thinking you're some kind of domineering CEO's family. Don't tell me you called that old man, laughing my head off at 30 million, selling you to northern Myanmar to harvest your kidneys and eyes wouldn't even fetch 1 million, only Freya." Standing to the side, widened her eyes in extreme excitement. Her shoulders trembling uncontrollably, she clutched her phone tightly, wishing she could shove her head right into the screen, but the sudden wealth she had anticipated didn't come. Instead, a chorus of shocked exclamations erupted from the classmates gathered around me. 1 2 3 4 5. That's a full 7 zeros. Am I seeing this right? Oh my god, I'm gonna faint. I've never seen so much money in my life. No way. Josephine, are you serious? Are you really from a wealthy family? But why didn't you admit it before? Meanwhile, on the other side, Freya stood frozen like a statue, her pupils trembling as she stared at her phone. Nathan only needed one glance before he frantically pushed forward and snatched my phone from my hands. When he saw the glaring balance of 30 million on the screen, he was instantly stunned, taking 2 disbelieving steps back and grabbing the table for support. "My name is Josephine, and my father is David Smith. You can look it up online to see how many companies are under his name, or call his company to verify my identity. This amount of money means nothing to our song group. I deliberately hid my identity earlier to avoid unnecessary trouble, but I didn't expect it to cause such a big misunderstanding," I said with a smile, stepping closer to Freya and staring intently into her eyes. "Now it's your turn, my dear roommate. Didn't you keep claiming to be a wealthy heiress, then? Show us your balance and transfer records. Only then did she react, abruptly turning away in a fluster to stuff her phone into her pocket, but her movements were too exaggerated, and the phone still slipped to the ground, just as a guy rushed over to pick it up. Holy shit, Freya, why is this a debt collection message? Did you take out an online loan? The guy shouted at the top of his lungs as if he had discovered a new continent. No way, a $600,000 online loan, Freya. So everything before was just an act. You're actually the gold-digging, materialistic poor student. The classmates instantly erupted, all rushing over despite attempts to stop them to check her phone. What they saw was shocking. Messages from Freya's parents complaining to her and urging her to work part-time to pay her younger brother's tuition fees were also exposed. Her parents only gave her $300 per month for living expenses, never failing to remind her. Isn't your roommate Josephine quite wealthy? Get close to her and ask for her help, borrow some money from her. I heard there are many rich people in college. You must keep an eye out and date a wealthy guy early. Don't wait too long or they'll all be taken. You wretched girl, what the hell have you done outside? Debt collectors are coming to our house. You're nothing but trouble. How dare you take out $600,000 in online loans? Why don't you just die, you worthless bitch? I never should have given birth to you. Not only are you useless, but you're also draining the family's money. If you're broke, go sell yourself. Plenty of old men are looking for girls your age. We're too scared to even leave the house now. Hurry up and go. I'm telling you, your brother is the only heir of our family. If you mistreat him, I'll skin you alive. You were born just to serve your brother. Freya completely broke down. She let out a heart-wrenching scream and ran toward the door, her entire being descending into a terrifying, mindless state. Finally realizing the system had failed, Nathan closed his eyes in humiliation and walked toward me. Josephine, I have to admit, you finally won. I never imagined you could go this far just to have me. Aren't you just jealous that Freya is with me, and you can't be? Fine, as long as you transfer these $30 million to me, I'm willing to give you a chance. The surrounding noise gradually faded, and a complicated expression appeared on my face. After all this, Nathan still thinks I like him. I admit that during military training, we had a great conversation, and it's hard not to be attracted to that face. No matter how perfect the appearance, it cannot conceal a heart filled with greed and sin. Compared to the hatred I feel for him now, the fleeting attraction I once had is utterly insignificant. Enough. What are you standing there for? My patience is limited. Nathan approached me coldly, lowering his head and his voice. Not only that, but do you know the driver you once fired was my father? Go apologize to him immediately, then promote him to manager at your company, and I might forgive you. Josephine, I'm warning you, even if I stay with you, don't think for a second I'll do anything for you. My dignity won't be insulted by your pathetic money. He spoke with impassioned fervor, moved by his own words. At this moment, he probably saw himself as a hero sacrificing for love and family in his own mind. I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face, sending his head jerking to the side. Nathan, what kind of rotten cucumber do you think you are to make me settle for you? Even saying a single word to you makes me sick. Get lost. Under my secret instructions, the debt collectors found their residential address. The moment the door opened, faced with so many burly men with tattooed arms, Freya was so frightened that she fainted on the spot, and Nathan was dragged into their car. No one knew what they did to him. The next time I heard about them was when Freya's parents, in order to repay the debt, accepted a bride price and sold her to an old bachelor to be his wife. Nathan was directly beaten and had his legs broken by debt collectors before being sold to northern Myanmar, where he began living a life devoid of sunlight. Upon learning this, I was enjoying pastries made by a French chef while watching a movie in the starlit theater of my villa. Every gift bestowed by fate has its price secretly marked in advance, and the greedy will inevitably pay for their actions. That's all the story. What do you think of this story? Share with me in the comments section. What would you do if you were in this situation? Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.